Good day or evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, I apologize for the inconvenient uploads lately. Even though I don't have many people around, I still like the support that I'm getting, and it seems that a lot of people seem to appreciate the fact that Axetale hasn't been continued by anybody else, but I've tried to take my own little spin on it. There's going to be more coming, and I'm actually working on the story. I have quite a few chapters in line. I just need to record the audio for them, so I apologize that they've been inconsistent. I've been busy with other things lately, but I'll try to get up some videos for everybody. Thank you for all the support, and have a great day, and enjoy the audio. In case you forgot, this one's switching back to Papyrus' perspective, just for the time being. I stood up. Had I passed out? I was still dizzy and felt myself about to fall over. I caught myself on a toadstool. After steadying myself, I started walking again. I needed to catch up to Undine before she did anything too drastic to Sans. I wasn't sure where I'd find either of them, so I just followed Undine's footprints. Or at least I thought they were Undine's footprints. Sans couldn't have gotten to Hotland by now, right? I decided not to think on how far or close he was. I stood over a fainted Undine. She had a large red line of blood down from the trail from her injured arm. I kneeled down and carefully felt for a pulse. I momentarily panicked until I felt one. I kneeled down and carefully slid my arms under her, lifting her up, or trying to. Her armor was too heavy to lift with the combined weight. I carefully stripped her of all her armor, leaving her in a torn black tank top and jeans ripped at the thighs and knees. I retried, easily hoisting her up into my arms. I looked forward towards where Hotland would be and sighed heavily. I couldn't go find Sans and leave my injured friend to fend for herself. She wouldn't survive, no matter how tough she was. I kicked open her door and ran over to her bed, setting her down and running to look for medical supplies. I came back in with a variety of different bandages, medical care, and some kind of pasty goop called anti-robotics. I had no idea what anti-robotics could do for her, but I had confidence in it. I would have to try my best to save her from this terrible loss of an appendage. I remembered learning something about bandaging a human's wounds when Frisk was around. Maybe a fish lady wouldn't be much different? I brought a bucket of warm water over and began to wash her wounds, adding the anti-robotics to her arm with something else with no front label. I began to bandage her arm carefully. I didn't have a pin, so I improvised and made one out of my bones from my attack patterns. It was a blue attack bone, so it would stay still in place and it wouldn't hurt her. After a bit of panicking for what else to do, I decided just to put her into bed. I sat next to her, watching her carefully for any movement or even response. If she was dead, I had failed to save one of my only friends I'd ever had. Undine would be gone, and it would be my fault for letting myself fail. My eyes began to water, which quickly turned into a sob while I hugged her tight. I was crying over her shoulder, pleading with the only God I could, hoping that he was still up there somewhere. I prayed to him out loud in choked sobs. I regretted leaving her behind just because of one mistake she made. Even I, the great Papyrus, made mistakes, and I wish I had accepted that sooner. I felt myself calming down a little, my chest heaving with the guilt. I couldn't handle her being gone. If she was, she had been one of the only friends I had. Sans is my brother, of course, but she helped me with the things I needed to accomplish. She's my only chance at something great. If she died, I would lose all will to live. My brother would have to go on without me. I found myself whispering little promises and prayers to her, and eventually found myself kissing her cheek and asking her not to die. I felt movements as her eyes slowly began to open. I gasped softly. "Papyrus?" She squeaked out in a very confused and tired voice. "You're alive!" I almost screamed, leaving her with a much more confused look. She nodded slowly and smiled slightly. I hugged her tight, careful of her arm and other cuts. We stayed like that forever. arms wrapped around one another. I couldn't let her go if I wanted to. I didn't want to at all, even. Undyne had survived. I just hoped she realized I gave up my search for Sans to help her. Sans wasn't anywhere to be found, so I just assumed he might be dead or somewhere much further than I was. Suddenly, something inside me changed. I stopped. I stopped worrying where Sans was and if he was okay. He can take care of himself. He is the older brother, and if I know him, he can take care of himself.